The rain hammered against the windows of the old library where Daniel first met her. Olivia stood in the shadows between towering shelves, her dark hair catching the dim light like silk. She wasn't looking for books, she was looking at him. "You're Daniel Chen's replacement, aren't you?" she asked, her voice smooth as whiskey. "The new archivist?" He nodded, surprised she knew. "Started last week. And you are?" "Someone who needs your discretion." She stepped closer, and he caught her scent, jasmine and old paper. "There's a collection in the restricted section. 7th floor, East Wing. I need access." Daniel hesitated. "I'd need authorization." "What kind of collection?" "Personal letters. From the Ashworth estate." Her eyes locked onto his, intense and unwavering. "I'm Victoria Ashworth's granddaughter. Those letters are my family's history, but the board won't release them to me. Something about a 75-year seal." "That's still 20 years away," Daniel said softly. Olivia moved closer still, her hand brushing his arm. The touch sent electricity through him. "I'm not asking you to steal them. Just, let me photograph them. 1 hour. No one needs to know." Every instinct told him this was wrong. But something about her desperation, her proximity, made him want to help. "Why the secrecy?" "Because what's in those letters could destroy my family's reputation. Or save it. I don't know which yet." She pulled out a folded paper. "I'll make you a promise, Daniel. If you help me, I'll share everything I find. Complete transparency. But you have to promise me something in return." "What?" "Never ask me about the 7th letter." Her expression became unreadable. "There are 43 letters in that collection. I'll tell you about every single one, except number 7. You can read it if you want, but don't ask me about it. Don't mention it. Pretend it doesn't exist." The specificity of the request unsettled him. "Why? Do we have a deal or not?" Daniel should have walked away. Should have reported her. Instead, he found himself nodding. 1 hour. Tomorrow night, after closing. "But you owe me those explanations." Olivia's smile transformed her face. She stood on her toes and kissed his cheek, her lips lingering just long enough to blur professional boundaries. "You won't regret this." But as she disappeared into the rain-soaked night, Daniel wondered if he already did. The warmth of her kiss remained on his skin, and the mystery of the 7th letter had already planted itself in his mind like a seed. He touched his cheek where she'd kissed him, knowing with absolute certainty that this promise, her promise, would be impossible to keep. Tomorrow night couldn't come fast enough. Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he unlocked the restricted archives. The 7th floor was silent except for the hum of climate control systems preserving centuries of secrets. Olivia appeared exactly at midnight, dressed in black, a camera bag slung over her shoulder. "You came," she whispered, her relief evident. "I keep my promises," he replied, trying to ignore how beautiful she looked in the dim emergency lighting. The Ashworth collection occupied a single climate-controlled case. Daniel's master key opened it with a soft click. Inside, 43 letters lay in archival sleeves, arranged chronologically. Olivia's breath caught as she saw them. "My grandmother's handwriting," she murmured, running her finger along the first envelope. "I've only seen it in birthday cards." For the next hour, Daniel watched her work. She photographed each letter meticulously, occasionally pausing to read. Tears streaked her face as she worked through the first 20, and she shared their contents in whispers, stories of wartime romance, of Victoria's forbidden love affair with a married politician, of secrets that could have ruined both families. "Letter 21, Olivia said, her voice thick with emotion. "The day she found out she was pregnant with my mother. She was terrified but hopeful." Daniel found himself drawn in, not just by the historical intrigue but by Olivia herself. The way she touched the letters with reverence, the way her voice broke when reading particularly emotional passages. When she looked up at him with wet eyes, he couldn't help but move closer. "Thank you for this," she said. You've given me back a piece of my history. Their faces were inches apart. Daniel could see the gold flecks in her brown eyes. You're welcome. She kissed him then, not the chaste kiss on the cheek from before, but a real kiss, full of gratitude and something darker, more desperate. Daniel knew he should pull away, maintain professional distance, but instead he wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer among the ancient shelves. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Olivia rested her forehead against his chest. I shouldn't have done that. I'm not complaining, Daniel admitted. She laughed softly, then resumed her work. Letters 30 through 42 revealed the rest of Victoria's story, the politician's death, her decision to raise her daughter alone, the lies she told to protect her family's reputation. Then Olivia reached letter 43. The envelope before it, letter 7, sat untouched. Daniel stared at it. The seventh letter. Plain, unremarkable, identical to all the others except for one detail, it was thicker, as if it contained more than just a letter. Olivia, he began. Don't, she cut him off sharply. You promised. But curiosity was already coiling in his gut like a living thing. What made this one letter so different? What secret was so terrible that even among all these revelations, illegitimacy, affairs, lies, this one had to remain unspoken? 3 weeks passed, and Daniel couldn't stop thinking about letter 7. Or about Olivia. They'd continued seeing each other, coffee dates that turned into long dinners, museum visits that ended with passionate kisses in his apartment. She'd kept her promise, sharing every detail from the other letters, helping him understand the complex web of her family's history. But letter 7 sat between them like a wall. Tell me something about yourself, Olivia said one evening, curled against him on his couch. Her fingers traced lazy patterns on his chest. Something you've never told anyone. Daniel thought about it. I had a brother. Older. He died when I was 12. Drug overdose. Her fingers stilled. I'm sorry. Everyone thought he was perfect. Star athlete, honor student. But he was hiding an addiction. After he died, I became obsessed with uncovering the truth, talking to his friends, reading his journals. My parents hated it. They wanted to preserve his memory exactly as it was. But you needed to know, Olivia said softly. Yeah. Even if the truth hurt. He looked at her. Is that what letter 7 is? A truth too painful to speak? Her body tensed. Daniel. You know everything about me now. My brother, my fears, the fact that I broke every professional ethic to help you. But you won't trust me with this one thing. Olivia sat up, wrapping her arms around herself. It's not about trust. Then what is it about? She stood, pacing his small living room. Some secrets aren't meant to be shared. Some truths don't set you free, they trap you. The words hung in the air. Daniel rose, moving to her. Let me decide that for myself. No. But her voice wavered. He pulled her close, his lips finding hers. The kiss was different this time, more intense, almost desperate. His hands slid under her shirt, feeling her shiver at his touch. She responded with equal hunger, her fingers tangling in his hair. They made love that night with an urgency that felt like both connection and distraction. Later, as Olivia slept beside him, Daniel stared at the ceiling and made a decision. The next day, using his archivist privileges, he returned to the 7th floor alone. His hands shook as he opened the case and withdrew letter 7. The envelope was heavier than the others, the paper older. He broke the seal. Inside wasn't a letter at all, it was a photograph. Black and white, dated 1943. It showed Victoria Ashworth, young and radiant, standing beside a man in an SS uniform. Daniel's blood ran cold. The implications crashed over him. Victoria's wartime romance had been with a Nazi officer. The politician she'd loved, the father of her child, had been part of the regime responsible for millions of deaths. But there was more. Tucked behind the photograph was a birth certificate. Not Olivia's mother's, someone else's. A child born in 1944 in Berlin. Father listed as Klaus Richter. Mother, Victoria Ashworth. Olivia had a secret uncle. Or perhaps an aunt. Someone born in Nazi Germany, someone whose existence would shatter everything the Ashworth family had built. Daniel's phone buzzed. Olivia, are you free tonight? I miss you. He stared at the message, then at the photograph, understanding now why she'd begged him never to ask. This wasn't just family history. This was a bomb that could destroy everything. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. Or the next. The photograph burned in his mind, Victoria's smile, so genuine, standing beside a man whose uniform represented unspeakable evil. He'd researched Klaus Richter and found a minor SS officer, nothing noteworthy, who died during the Soviet advance on Berlin in 1945. But the child. That mysterious sibling born in the chaos of a collapsing regime. What had happened to them? When Olivia came to his apartment 3 days later, she knew immediately something was wrong. You read it. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Letter 7. Daniel couldn't lie. Yes. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them, they were filled with tears and rage. I trusted you. You promised. I know. I'm sorry. But Olivia, you can't expect me to just. What? Respect boundaries? Keep my family's darkest secret? She laughed bitterly. Do you understand what you've done? What knowing this means? I understand your grandmother had a relationship with a Nazi officer. I understand there's a child. My aunt, Olivia interrupted. Katerina. She lived. She was raised in East Germany by Klaus's sister. My grandmother spent 50 years trying to find her, to bring her home, but the Iron Curtain made it impossible. Daniel sat heavily. The 75-year seal. It wasn't about protecting reputation. It was about protecting Katerina. She's still alive, Daniel. 81 years old, living in Hamburg. She knows nothing about Victoria, nothing about our family. My grandmother made her choice. She walked away to spare her daughter the stigma, the danger of being associated with a Nazi's child during the Allied occupation. The weight of it settled on Daniel's shoulders. And you've known all along. Since I was 16. My mother told me on her deathbed. Made me promise to let Katerina live in peace, to never reveal the connection. Olivia's tears flowed freely now. But I needed to know the full story. Needed to read those letters, to understand who my grandmother really was. Not a villain. Not a collaborator. Just a woman who fell in love with the wrong man and paid for it the rest of her life. Daniel reached for her, but she stepped back. Don't. Olivia, please. You broke your promise. You broke my trust. Her voice cracked. I told you some truths trap you. Now you're trapped too. You know something that could destroy an elderly woman's peace, that could turn my family into a footnote in history books about Nazi sympathizers. I would never. Wouldn't you? She looked at him with something like pity. You couldn't even keep a simple promise not to ask. How do I know you'll keep this secret? How do I know you won't write about it, publish it, use it for your own career advancement? The accusation stung because part of him had already thought about the historical significance, the academic value. I love you, he said desperately. You love the mystery. You love the thrill of uncovering secrets. She moved to the door. That's not the same thing. 2 months of silence. Daniel tried calling, texting, even showing up at her apartment. Nothing. Olivia had vanished from his life as suddenly as she'd appeared. The photograph and birth certificate haunted him. He'd locked them in his personal safe, unable to return them to the archives, unable to destroy them. The weight of the secret crushed him daily. Then, one rainy Tuesday, exactly like the day they'd met, Olivia appeared in the library. She looked thinner, tired, but her eyes held a strange peace. Katerina died last week, she said without preamble. In her sleep. Natural causes. Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. I'm sorry. Don't be. She lived a good life. Had children, grandchildren. Never knew about the connection to our family, about Victoria's lifelong search. Olivia sat across from him. The 75-year seal expires in 20 years, but it doesn't matter now. The only person it could hurt is gone. They sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Daniel spoke. I'm sorry I broke my promise. You were right, I was more interested in the mystery than in respecting your boundaries. I know. She met his eyes. But I'm sorry too. I used you. I knew you'd be curious. Part of me even hoped you'd read letter 7, so I wouldn't have to carry the secret alone anymore. Was any of it real? He asked quietly. Us? Olivia reached across the table, taking his hand. All of it. I fell in love with you even while I resented needing you. I hated that I couldn't trust you, and I hated myself more for wanting to. Can we start over? Daniel's heart hammered. No secrets this time? She smiled sadly. That's the thing about secrets, Daniel. They change you. I know now that you'll always choose knowledge over boundaries. And you know I'll always hold back part of myself to protect what I love. That doesn't mean we can't try. No, she agreed. It doesn't. She stayed that night. They made love with a tenderness born of understanding, not of perfect trust, but of acceptance. They knew each other's flaws now, the ways they'd hurt each other, the prices they'd paid for curiosity and secrecy. In the morning, Olivia gave him an envelope. The rest of letter 7. The actual letter Victoria wrote, explaining everything. I want you to have it. No conditions, no promises. Just, read it when you're ready. After she left, Daniel held the envelope for hours before opening it. Victoria's handwriting was elegant but shaky, written, he realized, in her final days. To whoever reads this, I loved Klaus Richter. Not despite who he was, but before I knew what he would become. By the time I understood the horror, our daughter existed. I made choices to protect her from a world that would have destroyed her for the circumstances of her birth. I lived with those choices every day. If you judge me, so be it. But know this, love is not always simple, and protecting those we love sometimes means bearing unbearable secrets alone. Daniel read it 3 times, then carefully filed it back in the archives where it belonged. That evening, Olivia called. Dinner tomorrow? Yes, he said. And I promise, no more secrets. She laughed. Liar. But they both knew they'd try anyway. Because curiosity and trust, secrets and love, they weren't opposites. They were the complicated, messy pieces of being human, of reaching across the darkness to find connection even when it cost everything. The rain started again, pattering against his window. Daniel smiled, thinking of Olivia, of promises broken and kept, of the curious human need to know, even when knowing hurt. Some mysteries remained. But some were worth solving, no matter the price.